I look at this with so much regret because I know that I could have made like way more money. But, there's a first time for everything. In this video, at least, we're going to be seeing how I was able to make $41,000 with one of my clients in the month of January and February because we launched January 29th. So kind of the same thing. Anyways, welcome to this video. And if you have a client and you're a shadow operator, growth operator, and you want to make good money with your clients, then stick around because my client had about 1,800 followers. He had never launched an offer in his life, and we were able to make a decent bit of cash the first time that we ever launched. The month right after, we kind of just kept in getting results with his current clients, and then eventually we scaled the offer, took price up, and now last like 30-ish days, we've made 50K. But I just want to talk about how I was able to launch him for the first time. Because you watching, you probably have a client or you want to have a client soon, and you're going to have to launch him for the first time at some point, right? So you want to know how to go from zero to something in the shortest amount of time, and from that shortest amount of time to make the most out of that time. And by making the most out of it, I mean making the most of money. So yeah, here's just the dashboard so you guys can see. Now, before we get into all of this mess, there's a lot to talk about. I don't want to overwhelm you because I know that it can get overwhelming when you don't know exactly like what you're doing and everything. But I want you just to realize all this business really is a few things. It's getting traffic, right? Getting leads, right? So getting traffic, creating leads from those viewers, right? From the traffic. Like as a matter of fact, let's keep the same frame, right? Like getting viewers, creating leads from those viewers then converting those leads into customers, right? And then fulfilling for those customers, right? So that's all this really is. Eyeballs, converting those eyeballs into customers and fulfilling for them. That's really it. Now, how did we do this for my client, or with this specific client recently? So we did this through a webinar funnel. So if you're watching this and you know something about webinar funnels, then congratulations, because you're going to see how a webinar funnel works behind the scenes. And if you don't know what a webinar funnel is, it's just one of the conversion mechanisms that operators use to be able to take their clients from nothing to something, right? At the end of the day, it's a good method to take a bunch of viewers, put them on a live, and at the end of the live stream, sell a bunch of their digital product, their offer, whatever the case. So 2 minutes in, now let's actually get into it. Now, who is my client, right? Out of just privacy, I don't want to say exactly who the client is. I'm still working with this client. We're still scaling. Now, my client is a young guy. He's like, I think younger than I, which is kind of crazy. He moved from Mexico to the United States, had a bit of a rough life, but then, with trial and error, he was able to grow his marketing agency that he started while he was working at a restaurant. And to this day, now he's scaled it to $180,000 a month. So a big round of applause for my client because he's actually a G. So he scaled his agency, so he became an expert at running an agency. Then, he kind of had the itch of like, why shouldn't I show other people how to do the same thing? And that's where we decided to partner up, right? He'd never launched an offer ever, right? And when we decided to launch, he had about 1,200 followers on Instagram. No other social media, nothing else. So for his coaching, Instagram, he had 1.2K followers. At the time of launching, we had 1.8K followers on Instagram. So, and now he has 3,000 followers. This just goes to show you that you don't need a huge client to make money, right? If you're watching, you probably think that you need some micro creator that has 100,000 followers. Like one of you guys watching messaged me recently saying like, oh, I have this micro creator on the line. He's got like 100,000 followers. And I'm like, what? Yeah, he does like memes. And I'm like, you don't need some big audience to be able to make money with digital products. I would say quite the contrary. Like I've had clients from 1,000 followers to 500,000 followers. And a lot of the times, the ones that matter the most are the ones that are just like experts at the thing that they're going to teach, right? So that's the only thing that matters. Don't even worry about, oh, they have to be like 1 million followers. No, right? And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can, make it a bunch of money with your client that doesn't have a bunch of followers. Now, the first thing that we do, right, is something that I like to call the audience analysis, right? So this is the first step, right? So out of all of these things, the first thing that we're like really looking into is the fulfillment, right? What is the thing that he's going to sell? right? And second to that is something that I didn't add in the beginning because it's a bit more complex, but it's something that is, in my opinion, probably the most important thing in this whole process, which is the launch angle and the launch messaging, right? I'll get into depth into what that is in just a second. But the fulfillment, both of these things are determined by this audience analysis. So the audience analysis is this, I guess, phase in my launch process where initially I want to really, really understand who the audience is. Who am I selling to? Who am I talking to? Who is behind the curtain, or who's behind the phone, who's behind the computer that's watching my client, and how do I craft the best product and how do I craft the best communication so that the viewer watching resonates, feels like this is for them, is super hyped and ready to buy, right? If you don't understand who the audience of your client is, you're never going to be able to sell anything, right? Even if AI makes you some digital product or this, software makes you this 14-day launch sequence, doesn't matter if you don't really understand who the audience is, right? So that's super important. So the audience analysis, essentially, you want to get the audience's demographics and psychographics, right? So what does this mean? Like demographics, like an example, is like age, right? Why is that important? Demographics is the least important out of these two. Psychographics is more important because you understand the psychology of the audience, right? I would argue very heavily that psychology is probably one of the most, if not the most important skill or concept that you need to have an understanding of if you want to stand a chance at this game, right? But the demographics thing, right? Like if you understand that the audience is maybe a bit older, then you're going to understand that older people don't buy based off like dreams like younger people do because they've been like beat down a bit more, right? So maybe older people will be a bit more logical and they will want to play it a bit more safe. So then they need things that soothe those fears of being, right? Like even the demographics can then be turned into psychographics if you know how to do this properly, right? But yeah, you're going to understand the client's objections. Like what are the things that block them from actually taking the leap, taking action and buying your client's offer, right? Level of awareness, right? Do they understand that they have a problem? Do they realize what the solution of the problem is? Like all of these different things. What is their level of interest? What are their fears? What are their pains? Like what are the things that keep them up at night that we can then use within the marketing so that they can resonate and say, holy shit, that's me. Wait, I need to sign up to this thing, right? So that's what the audience analysis essentially does, right? Why is it important? I already said it, because we really need to know who we're talking to. Because if I'm making a product or like a messaging, a marketing message that does not resonate and people don't really like, this doesn't really like suit me, right? Let's say you're working with a content creator that does calisthenics, right? Like pull-ups and all that type of stuff. And that's like his way of getting like jacked and ripped. And then you're here making content towards people that don't really care about bodybuilding, let's say, for example. And then you're here talking about bodybuilding and all this, like it won't really resonate to the audience, right? Or I think that maybe that's a bad example, I'm not gonna lie. A good example would be, let's say 60% of the audience wants to lose fat. They just want to like shred. But here you are talking about bulking. People are not like, it doesn't really resonate, right? So you really need to understand who you're talking to, right? Now, how do we do this? How do we get all this information? How do we get the audience to tell us what it is that they fear, that they want, that they're struggling with? Like, how do we get the audience to give us all of their information? Well, we do this through a lead magnet, right? So the way that I do it, and I think my team is gonna kill me if I tell you guys this. I don't really care. I'm the boss. But the lead magnet that I run, and I suggest that you run, is something I like to call the kill two birds with one stone strategy. So the best lead magnet that you can give, in my opinion, is you want to offer to the audience something along the lines of, hey, I am going to be giving away a free consultation call, right? You have to position it properly. Like that's a really important thing. It's not just saying it and then just like, okay, it's there, because then nobody really cares. Like, like a homeless guy, like an unhoused, can offer me a comment the word unhoused if you've made it this far, because that's a funny term. I think we should, as a society, change the term homeless to unhoused. I think that's really funny. If you know who made that up, comment it as well. It's pretty funny. But yeah, so if a unhoused person tells me, hey, I'm going to give you a consultation call, I'm going to be like, peace and love, man. Like, I don't want your consultation. So it's like, you really got to make sure that you know how to word things and how to say things so that people want your lead magnet. That's one thing to know. A lead magnet is something that you need to really try to make as attractive as a paid offer, because the goal of the lead magnet is to get leads, right? So if your lead magnet is not interesting or not appealing, it doesn't really matter. If it's like, it won't have the magnet effect, if you know what I'm saying. So we do like some sort of consultation call. So we're giving away 3 free consultation calls to get you to XYZ outcome or to help you with XYZ problem, right? To know that, you kind of need to have like a bit of an understanding of who the current audience may be, right? So you do that in exchange to be a part of this giveaway, right? In 48 hours, we're going to be announcing the winners. You just have to fill out this form. And once you fill out this form, you're going to be entered into the giveaway. And in 48 hours, we'll let you know if you won. So that's the way that we did it, at least for this one. That's not all the time how we do it, but just being super transparent how we did it this time. Now, okay, so here's the information that we like ask, right? Like, here's a few of the questions, right? Obviously, normal details. My client, again, right, like I already told you that he does like agency stuff. So what best describes you? Where are you at? Like, are you starting? Are you already working with clients? Like, why is this, for example, why is this question important? I'm not going to go through all the questions because we're 11 minutes in. If you're watching so far, leave a like, because you're getting a bunch of value and you're here because you know that, this is the real sauce. So if, let's say, 80% of people, let's say, said growing 3 to 8 clients, number one, we understand that because they're already making money, we can charge more because the advice that my client would give them would probably help them scale faster, right? Because going from 5K a month to 20K a month is faster or easier because it's a few levers that you need to pull rather than starting from complete scratch and getting your first client, because there's a lot of friction because you've never done it. So it changes the way that we say things. It changes the product angle, or what is the product focused on? Is the product focused on helping you get your first client and helping you like do your first thing? Or is the product focused on helping you scale your agency and maybe delegate and maybe do all these things, right? So that's like the importance of all of these different questions, right? So we have a few questions here. Now, like I said, right, this helps us understand the product, right? What are going to be the core deliverables? Do people want to learn one-on-one? Do they want to go through a course? Like, what is the thing that they want? Right? Like, it helps us understand how can we price this, right? Should we price this? We ended up pricing this at about $6,000, right? Because my client is an expert. So that's a piece of advice. Work with experts because experts can command a higher ticket. And to scale, one of the levers that you can pull to scale an offer is price. Price is so important. Like, price is more important than you would ever think, right? Because if you're selling something for, let's say, $500 because you're scared that maybe people won't have the money, so if I make it cheap, then more people will have the money. That's not true, right? Something that is cheap typically is associated with cheap value, right? So if something's $6,000 or $10,000, which is like the price of the offer now, people believe that it's like, holy shit, if this is $10,000, what's the value that this could provide? Now, obviously, could you sell a $10,000 or $6,000 offer with just anybody? No, right? That's why you want them to be an expert. Like, even if they're a health expert, if they can help somebody not cause, God forbid, if you're partnered with a health expert that can help their clients cure, let's say, autoimmune diseases that cost you thousands and thousands of dollars in medications and treatments a year, don't you think that people would pay thousands of dollars for that offer? Yeah, I've seen it firsthand, right? Like, funny story, I kind of regret this because I didn't take the best use of it. I paid $8,000 for like a health and optimization like offer, right? To kind of like, dial in some of my like levels and whatever. Not the point. But it's like, if you can make somebody believe that something is like extremely valuable, you can charge a high price. And, in our case, we didn't need that many like sales to be able to get there. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's kind of like what happened. Now, yeah, so then besides the product, we have the launch narrative, the marketing angle, the objections, and the messaging. So this is the thing that I was telling you before. This is probably like the most valuable thing out of, everything. Let me add this like here. Whoops. Editing the video midway. This is the game, guys. Like, just editing the video while I make it. Tell me this isn't fun and fresh. Comment fun and fresh if this is fun and fresh and you're liking this video so far. And if you're getting value, like if you're getting actual value, if you're learning something, comment fun and fresh. Because we're fun and fresh on this channel. Fun and fresh. It's fun, it's fresh, it's wise. Never mind. So yeah, the launch narrative, marketing angle, objections, and messaging. So this is super important. I would say this is more important than the product. Because we're about to start talking to people in the content, in Instagram stories and reels. This is really like the only places that we spoke to people. But we want to create, this is something super important for your launch, guys. There's a launch narrative that exists. So there needs to be some sort of narrative, some sort of story of why the launch exists, why it matters, why now? Like, why is it time to buy now? Why is it time, like, what's the opportunity? What's the thing that I'm missing? Like, what's the angle, right? Like, what's the angle of the marketing? So I'll give you guys the example. For my client, we realized that a lot of people, what they wanted was to learn how to, or well, not so much that, but my client's like main method of scaling his agency was to hire really fast, right? He hired a bunch of people really fast. He kind of learned the skills, but he hired people. So he was able to build this skill of hiring talent. Therefore, that was his skill. And then with the audience analysis, that confirmed that a lot of people, what they wanted was to be able to get clients, but not to manage all of the work. So our angle was that of, hey, learn how to build your talent engine. And that's something that I came up with. And that's your job as an operator, to come up with angles, to come up with the method, the specific way that your client gets the result for people that's different from the rest of the market, right? So yeah, that's super important. And I couldn't have done that if I wouldn't have done the audience analysis. I know that we're 16 minutes in talking about audience analysis, but just like know how important this is, right? So the launch narrative, what's the story that we're telling? Right? The narrative was that, for this launch, for example, the narrative was that back in 2020, everybody started an agency. So it was super saturated, but now it's 2026. Everyone's chasing the new AI startup. Everyone wants to be the new, Claude bot expert. Everybody wants to be the new, crypto guy. So because everybody shifted away from running a marketing agency because it got too saturated, now what did that do? Now that creates an open market, a gap where nobody's servicing all of these different local businesses. So I create this narrative, this story that then people, they listen to it and it's like, holy shit, this is right. Like that's your job as a marketer. That's all you're that's a big part of what you got to do as a growth operator is you need to create that story, right? Like what I just did. You watching, maybe you're like, maybe I should go start an agency. Now that you heard my little tidbit of the story, right? If you would see the whole thing, it's super compelling, right? It's super convincing of right now is the best time to start an agency. Like nobody's looking at an agency because it was super popular back in the day, so people don't even consider it now. Now they're like, oh, I'm gonna do this. Therefore, it's very, I guess, I don't know, important. I got a notification and got distracted. Let's turn off the notifications. I don't know how to do that from my computer. Anyways, so yeah, launch narrative, marketing angles, objections. So in the webinar that we run, in the VSL, and any part of the process, there's going to be objections from people. What's their fear? What's the thing that holds them back? The audience analysis is going to tell us that so that we can pre-solve the objection within the content and within the whole process, right? Within the launch. So if people's objection, let's say it's I've bought courses in the past, but it never works. So then our objection handle within the process can be something maybe you've been burned by courses and you haven't realized that the real thing that you need is X, Y, Z, right? So maybe their objection is that. So then we solve that objection within the content, right? And the messaging, which is just how are we going to communicate? So all of this stuff helps us create reels and story scripts, right? So the scripts for the clients to post on their stories, the reels, we scripted reels for my client. The landing page that we built for him, the copy, so that it resonates with people, so that people listen to it and they say that's me, right? The VSL that we scripted, the WhatsApp posts, you'll see how we use WhatsApp in our funnel, and the webinar script itself, right? So the audience analysis is very, very important because this kind of determines how we're going to go about this whole thing, right? Because we're going to start to build the copy, the landing page, everything. So yeah, the audience analysis is essential for that and for us to help the client create the offer, right? create the product, whatever the case may be. So yeah, that is fulfillment and the launch angle and messaging. Now we're getting into getting traffic, right? We're 20 minutes in. Come on, if you're watching, drop a like if you haven't already. But yeah, so I'm gonna try to go fast because I don't know how many of you guys are still here due to the epidemic of TikTok attention span, or Reels attention span. So yeah, getting traffic. Now we're trying to get traffic into the funnel. All businesses, like I said at the beginning, is a funnel. Right? You're getting traffic, then that traffic, you're creating leads, and from those leads, you're converting them into customers, and then after those converted, then you're trying to fulfill on them, right? So how are we getting traffic from my client? Very, very simple. So my client has a coaching account, right? His account that we're using. Now he has 3,000 followers, like I said at the beginning. But when we launched this, he had 1,200 followers when we started. By the end of the launch, like by the time that we launched, he had like 1.8. So he kind of grew. Now, there's two ways that we got traffic, right? So he, besides his coaching account, which is where we partnered up with him, he had an agency account where he has his client, he has this account to get clients for his agency. So he posts content to try to get agency clients. Who does he service? He services, if I'm not mistaken, contractors in his area. So he posts content for that. Now, because, like in this account, I think he had like 8,000 followers. Obviously, the majority are going to be for his agency. So they're not really interested in his coaching. But there's probably people, and there were people that were interested in his coaching because there were probably people that wanted to like steal his strategies or like be like, okay, I'm going to follow this guy as inspiration for my own agency. So we try to funnel all of those people into the coaching account, and that's exactly what we did, right? So what we did was we were posting top of funnel content, which is just content that's very broad to try to get views, right? We were averaging 2,000 to 4,000 views per reel, and we were using the clipping method, right? So one of my friends, we didn't hire him. Like he was working with, that's a mistake, my bad. We didn't hire the clipper. Like he was working with my client already, and he's a friend of mine. We were boys, so I knew him. So I was like, bro, this is the strategy. This is what we're going to do with our client. Help us get a bunch of views, right? So that's what we did, right? We strategized to be able to get viewers to then become followers, to then watch our stories, to then sign up for the event, right? So that's what we did, right? We can talk more about like content strategy in a different video, but like that's kind of the strategy of how we got views, right? Very, very simple. Now, how did we convert those views into leads, right? So the main method that we do is something that I like to call the warm-up method. So this is a method that is essential to turn cold leads into hot leads, or like cold viewers that don't really know who the client is, which happens a lot with like these types of clips. Like these types of clips that get like just a bunch of views because my client has a McLaren and all these things. It's like people don't really care about my client yet. So when they follow and they start to see the stories, this is where they become leads, or this is where they kind of become like warmed up, right? They go from being cold and not really caring about the client to really caring and all of this stuff, right? Eventually falling down the funnel. So the main things that we want to do in this warm-up is we want to warm up people towards the client's personality, the client's method of getting the result, the expertise of the client, and the product that we're going to launch, right? So this is done in 4 different phases, right? In this case, we specifically kind of mixed it all together just due to the funnel that we were going to launch, which was a webinar funnel, right? So again, like the personality warm-up is essentially showing likability, relatability, like the aspirational aspects of your client. So people want to, you want the audience to want to be friends with your client or to admire your client. If your client is not very aspirational or admirable or likable or relatable, it's going to be very hard for people to then listen to the rest of the stuff, right? Also, method. Your client needs to have a specific method of getting a result. I gave you the example earlier with calisthenics. So let's say people want to get fit overall. Your client needs to have a specific method to the madness or a method to the result that they're promising. So my client had a specific method. It was building a talent engine, which is what I came up with, which was the method to grow in your agency is not to send more outreaches, not to do this, is not to do that. It's to learn the basics and hire fast, right? And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that in our live event. That's what we do, right? So the method, right? Then the expertise. So why is the client the expert? So this is like showing results from his own agency or showing results from people that he's helped in the past. All of these types of things that build trust, authority, showing the transformation, right? All of this different stuff. And then obviously the product that we're hyping up, but this is like a bit more like after, right? So how do we do that again? Stories and reels. With the reels, right, we scripted a lot of these. So like, for example, like I scripted some of these, like being chopped is the best way to get, to scale your agency. Or like, I remember there was one, I don't know if it's here, but it was something like, I don't know, I'm going to try to find it. But it's like, yeah, putting bets on Polymarket or putting bets on XYZ is the best way to make money online. But the second best way to make money online is to start a boring marketing agency in 2026. Blah, 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 angle, sign up, right? So like, again, the hook body CTA, I think this was meant to be on this side, but it's fine. And then stories where we're just like essentially saying, hey, we're going to be doing a live class, which is the webinar. So the webinar, we're positioning it as a live class so that people don't have this like, aversion, because maybe people have heard the word webinar and they're like, they're going to sell me. I don't want to be sold. So we position it as a free live class, right? And you can do this with your client. You can position what you guys are going to do as a free live class to teach you X, Y, and Z, right? So we do that through the stories, through the reels. With the reels, we do ManyChat. So ManyChat is a software where it's like comment the word, agency, and I'm going to send you access, or I'm going to send you the invite to my free live class. So then we would automatically send them the invite, and this would smooth up the process of getting them from viewers to leads, right? Now, and with Instagram stories, generally we just did the link, super, super simple, nothing crazy here. We did sequences, but it's like nothing insane. Like all you're trying to do is you're just trying to push people into this thing so that they can sign up. Now, where are they signing up, right? This is kind of like it. So this is the landing page, right? Now, as you can see, this is kind of like the real stuff, right? So this is the landing page for the event, right? So my client, right, like the angle that we came up with is like how I skipped the glorified 10K a month phase and scaled a boring 130K a month ad agency in 8 months by building talent engines. So this is like the angle. This is the storyline that we're creating, right? At the time, he had his agency at 130K. Now he has it at 180. All without being an expert in service delivery or wasting months chasing after low quality clients. Why do you think that this is here? I'll give you a few seconds. Because we did the audience analysis and realized that a big thing was people didn't want to do the service delivery, or they were like confused about it. They'd never done it. So they were like, I don't know how to do it. All without being an expert in service delivery. So here we're kind of like breaking down the objection of you can grow your agency without being an expert in service delivery. So then people read this and they're like, oh shit, this is fire. This is exactly what I need. Why? Because I did the audience analysis first, right? Same with everything else. So then people secure their spot, like, different sections, people like understand who my client is, right? They see the results, like all of this good stuff, right? Right? Why is this class different? Or like, why is this class the difference maker? Like all of these different things. So this is the landing page, right? Obviously here's a VSL. Obviously I can't play it right now because this is a still picture. But yeah, the VSL also makes sense. And we're trying to just get people to sign up to the event. We're not even thinking about the product right now. Like the product here, people don't even know it exists, right? So here we're just trying to sell the event. This is a very important thing that you should note. With all of this stuff, you're trying to always sell the next step. So if the next step is watching a story, sell that. If the next step is getting a lead magnet, sell that as if that's the last thing that you're selling. Here we're trying to sell, just sign up to the event. The event is the thing that is going to change your life. And not only that, like clicking the button is going to change your life, right? It's not even about buy my product, right? So that's the first step of the landing page. Once people click on this button to secure their free spot, what happens then is they watch this video, right? And this video is a quick survey so we can really even dive deeper into who's going to be attending the event, right? So this is part of them signing up, right? So yeah, like this, helped me make this class the best time investment in 2026. All this stuff, this survey, right, which allows us to kind of tailor the rest of the funnel even more. And then the registration is almost complete. Join the WhatsApp group. So we do a WhatsApp group. It's like a WhatsApp community where people don't really message, where my client sends a bunch of content throughout like 2 weeks to warm people up, right? So this is really important. People can add the class to their calendar since it's a live class on Zoom, and we send them an email automated with the invitation and a few other things as well. So that's really how it works, right? Now that they went through this landing page, now they landed in the WhatsApp group, right? Iman Ghazi does this as well. So if you've ever bought any product from Iman Ghazi or been in any of his events, you know that you're going to sign up to his event and then you're going to be taken to a WhatsApp group where he's going to be announcing the live event is like we're live, or this PDF or this thing, or hyping you up for the event, right? Where members are bombarded with behind the scenes and hype content. And WhatsApp groups are really, really good because the open rate here is way higher than on email, or than in email, or on email, whatever. So a lot of people will do this type of funnel, and they're going to really focus on trying to email people access to the event. What I've realized, and the numbers speak for themselves, I've had a 55% show up rate to this last event, which is pretty high in the industry. People are typically like around 30%. But I had a 55 because the WhatsApp strategy really, really worked. So here, we have it all scripted out, right? Like boom, 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 everything there, like WhatsApp push day 4, WhatsApp IG day 5, right? Like all of that type of stuff. And what we're doing is we're posting behind the scenes content. My client is showing exactly the things that he's doing to prep for the event. We're providing realism, right? Like we're showing, hey guys, this is what we're actually doing. We're building more trust and connection, right? Here, we're really tailoring or like hitting these points even harder, right? Like, so my client is sending voice notes about his life story, or about why his method is so important and why it's so important for you to show up live on January 26th, right? So like that's the type of stuff that we post on the WhatsApp. So that's how we convert viewers into leads, right? So now that they're leads and they're ready in our funnel, in our ecosystem, now all we want is for them to show up to the event so that we can convert those leads into customers, right? So yeah, now we have the WhatsApp group. We already said that. Scarcity about the launch. My client is sending a bunch of voice notes, behind the scenes, hype, all of this type of stuff. More touch points, increasing the show rate, which I mentioned. And this essentially just gets us warmer leads and easier to convert them the day of the event, right? And on Instagram, we haven't stopped posting stories, right? We're still trying to post stories, getting people into the funnel so that they can end up here. But we're also posting a lot of the things that we post in the WhatsApp group, in the Instagram stories, in a different, like said in a bit of a different way, just so that it suits Instagram stories, right? Now we're going to convert them, right? The webinar. So obviously, as the operator, I am scripting the webinar, I am designing the webinar presentation, everything, right? So like all of the different pillars, right? The like connection to the audience, the relatability, the actual value of the webinar. Because at the end of the day, a webinar is, a presentation, but it's not a sales presentation, right? Maybe I'm just not saying it right. I know there's a proper explanation for a webinar. I just wasn't really like expecting to explain a webinar. I probably should have thought of that. But yeah, so essentially a webinar is, I guess, like story, value, like teaching, and then at the end presenting the opportunity where people can then, buy and take the second path, which is going with, the creator, right? So obviously we're crafting the content for the sale, like the decision that people need to make, we're overcoming objections, all of these different things, right, cooked up, and then boom, right? Like a bunch of different slides that we're scripting out, right? Like, how I built, like we scripted all of this stuff out, and we made all of these slides, right? All of these slides that then we have to teach my client how to read through this, right? How to go through this in order, all of this different stuff, right? So yeah. So obviously we script that. Now the presentation is ready. We do the practice webinar with my client a few hours before the live, and now we're live, right? Now we had a 55% show up rate, I'm not gonna lie. So it was really good. What does this mean? Out of like 100% of the people that signed up to the live event and that landed on the WhatsApp group, which was a pretty big percentage, 55 showed up live. That's really, really good, right? About 80% of the people that showed up stayed until the pitch, right? Which is very essential because you want people to stay until the time where your client does the pitch, right? And out of the people that stayed, and like out of everybody that came, we had about a 15% application rate. So within the event, right, within this presentation of value and storytelling and presenting the new opportunity of growing your agency with me in my mentorship, or like him, right, not me. I kind of just blanked out for a second. But yeah, so yeah, 15% of the people that showed up watched the whole thing and then applied, right? So, that's what I was saying. So within this whole thing, at the end, we don't say, hey, buy now. We're like, hey, we've got 20 spots. We're not going to give it to everybody. You have to apply, right? So that's a very, very important thing that you can do with your offers, right? You can do applications. So out of 100 people that showed up, about 15% ended up applying, right? Obviously, the offer pricing was around $6,000, not exactly $6,000, just for like, you know, privacy and numbers sake, keeping that a bit MIA. But yeah, it's about $6,000. So then people watch the event, you know, they're live, they're excited, they're hyped. The chat is going crazy, right? We're moderating the chat on Zoom, and then we drop the link for people to sign up to the type form, right? So they go through the type form, which is the application. People apply, and then automatically after the event, I am in the phone messaging people, calling people, saying, hey, we read your application with my client, or like obviously the name of my client, or my client is messaging them, right? Or calling them. It's like, hey, we've decided to accept your application. If you have any questions before we move on, we can send over the payment link and we can get you sorted, right? So a lot of the people, because we already said the price on the presentation, they're like, boom, get me ready to go, I'm in, right? A lot of people had like a few questions here and there. We handle them, send them the payment link, you know, and voila, right? So kind of like an anticlimactic ending, but it's like, it's very simple, right? It's like the presentation does the majority of the selling. People then show their interest in actually buying. You message them. They're like already sold because of this. This is the thing that converts them, right? Like this is the converting mechanism, the webinar. That's why it's so good, because this, imagine you're on like a sales call, but with 100 people, right? So this is why it's so important. If you've made it this far, like 36 minutes in, comment the word wallet, because you're going to get so much money in your wallet. No, I'm just kidding. Hopefully. But no, it's like this, if you view this webinar as what it is, it's like a sales call with 100 people where you're presenting the whole thing and people are just like, yes, I'm ready. So when they apply, they're like already ready to purchase, right? That's the beauty of it, because you don't have to then try to convince people. Then sales are really, really easy. And you just kind of got to send a message and then people are like, bet, I'm done, right? So yeah, that's how it worked. That's how we were able to make 40 grand with my client. And yeah, I really, really hope that this video was as valuable as I think it is, right? I think that if you do this with your client, you're going to be able to make a lot of money. And until then, I will see you on the next one. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel, share this with your friends, tell your friends about it. And on that note,